Hello, and welcome to our Make It Better TV show on nurturing successful partnerships with Ulta Beauty's Keisha Steelman and Metropolitan Family Services Rick Estrada. I'm Susan Noyes, the founder and chief visionary officer of Make It Better Media Group, which includes Better Magazine too. Importantly, because your time is your most important resource, we thank you for sharing it with us today. Your insights and ideas are important to us too, so please feel free to submit questions through the chat function at any time, and we will try to answer them. But also, please know that a recording of this will be sent out to everyone who registered, placed in our YouTube and MIB TV channels, and included in an article summarizing our participants' top-line advice, and included in an upcoming Better Letter. If you haven't yet subscribed to our email newsletter, Better Letters, please do. You will enjoy and learn from our content that helps you make your life and the lives of others better too. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce our panelists. Keisha Steelman is the Chief Operating Officer of Ulta Beauty, the largest beauty retailer in the United States, headquartered in the suburbs of Chicago. She leads a passionate and growing team of more than 50,000 at work and serves on several boards, including Metropolitan Family Services. Keisha and her husband, Gray, share 5 children, and she is a proud grandmother too. Her youngest stepdaughter is a senior at New Trier High School. Hi, Keisha. Rick Estrada is the CEO of Metropolitan Family Services, one of Illinois' largest and most respected human services agencies. It has more than doubled its budget and number of families served under Rick's leadership. He also serves on numerous other boards and is a highly respected civic leader locally and nationally, while also being a devoted husband, father of 2 young adult daughters, and taking guitar lessons. Metropolitan Family Services and Ulta Beauty have partnered together since 2014 to help families across metropolitan Chicago heal and thrive. This admirable work has lifted up the lives and livelihoods of so many, and we hope we can spark even more positive impact across our greater community through today's conversation. We're delighted that Rick and Keisha have joined us today to share their valuable insights on the benefits of quality corporate nonprofit or public-private partnerships and the profitable benefits of prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. So now, let's get on with it. Rick, the first question is for you. What are the elements needed for a great partnership between a nonprofit and a corporation?
Yeah, well, Susan, first of all, thanks for having us. Make It Better is really making it better by producing these types of opportunities for people like Keisha and I. So thank you. Well, what makes these partnerships great? But here's like all partnerships, right? They have to be built on authentic relationships and the desire to bring good to one another. So that's the core. So the larger and more powerful partner, it can't tell the other one what to do. So it has to be this mutual respect that we have for each other. And again, the opportunity to do good for each other's organizations and ultimately just care about the people that we collectively serve in this region. So for us, if that happens, then magic happens. Like when Ulta, with their terrific sponsorship and an ongoing support of Metropolitan Family Services was honored at our 31st annual Empower the Night event. You saw a little bit clip of that just earlier with these children from the Little Village neighborhood, which is, by the way, the neighborhood where I grew up, showcase their talent. And as we all know, music and the arts are directly correlated with spatial abilities, math abilities. And so for us, it's not only about music, it's about cultural capital and also developing skills moving further. And Ulta helped us unlock that potential, and they do it every single day. Thank you.
Fabulous answer. Thank you. Keisha, your thoughts on what a great partnership looks like?
Yeah, I'd also like to start by saying thank you, Susan, and the Make It Better Foundation for really bringing this conversation to life, because there's a lot of good work that can happen out there, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation with Rick. I really believe that there are 4 foundational components that really are critical for a corporation to have a great partnership with a nonprofit. And it first really starts with a common mission and vision and values. And I would say that there's a lot of alignment between Ulta Beauty and MFS with that. So when I think about like our diversity and our equity and inclusion and our efforts there, our focus on it's not just focusing on beauty. I think sometimes when people think about Ulta Beauty, they think about us as a cosmetics company. It's really about providing a place where people can shop to bring how they feel on the inside out and bring their best selves to work or their home life every single day. It's really about committed to helping primarily women and families. That's part of our mission and our vision. And there's a true alignment and a North Star there with MFS. And then I do think it's also part of this whole shared values is you have to have someone in the corporation that's personally committed to wanting to be involved in making a difference and not just saying they're on a board, but showing up when they're on the board and really being actively engaged and involved and passionate about the nonprofit. I'd say the second is infrastructure. And I know that sounds kind of tactical from a corporation perspective, but you have to have the infrastructure to support. In 2016, Ulta Beauty established its charitable foundation. And it allowed us to really unlock the investment dollars that we're putting forward with our nonprofit organizations and also measuring that impact and making sure that we're partnering in the right way. And there also is some back end support. I would say that it's not just Keisha that is driving this with Ulta Beauty. It's the Ulta Beauty organization behind me and really helping make a difference. So that would be the second. I think the third is associate engagement. Rick talked earlier about the MF or the Empower the Evening, the event with the mariachi band. And when you can create environments where people can give back and be engaged with the nonprofit, I think that's really where the magic really starts to happen. It's not just about writing a check for a corporation. It's about how can you get your teams engaged and involved in a much broader scale. And then the fourth, to kind of wrap this home, is really about innovation. Nonprofits who are continually innovative and moving forward and not just doing things the same way. I think the pandemic was a good outcome was everyone had to think differently. The more nonprofits can think about how they can leverage the corporations to be innovative and look at how they're driving their mission and their vision forward in a different, unique way, I think is also key to the successful partnership. All of this is really underpinned in my perspective around confidence and trust. If there's confidence and trust where we are investing our dollars and investing our associates' time and energy in a nonprofit, and we know that that investment is really going to be making a use for greater good, I think that underpins all of what I just covered. So, and Rick and the MFS team do a fantastic job of everything I just explained.
So I think I hear you saying it's innovation and collaboration.
Yeah.
You have to be able to collaborate well with confidence and trust. And
Absolutely.
that sounds like the underpinnings of every great relationship that can move the world forward.
Yep.
Keisha, how did you find your way to serving on the Metropolitan Family Services Board?
Yeah, I came from very humble beginnings in rural Iowa, and I wasn't privileged by any means, but I was given opportunities to be as successful as I am today. And I feel like it's my duty to pay it forward. And I remember what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck and not know how I was going to pay the bills, or if the car breaks down, what am I going to do? And never forgetting where I came from is really part of my DNA. And that's why I love everything that MFS does, because they're not just supporting one segment of someone who maybe needs some support, but they're kind of embracing them all the way through. Whether it's, they're in a bad home situation and they need support, or they need assistance with getting a job, or they need assistance with childcare. MFS is really there to help get them, on a better footing. And somebody helped me get on a better footing early on. So I feel like it's my responsibility and my passion to make a difference and pay it forward for others.
That's fantastic. And Rick, how did you find your way? You referenced the neighborhood you grew up, so there's a story there.
Yeah, well, what's important for me is I'm exactly like the people we serve, right? I came to this country as an immigrant. The old pull yourself by the bootstraps mentality that we have in the United States. It's kind of half true, right? My dad certainly was a terrific at his job, and my mom worked really hard. But we had so much help from organizations like MFS, United Charities at the time, and Head Start and other programs like that. We had so much help along the way. And importantly, we had mentors. And one of the things that Keisha and I haven't mentioned yet is just the importance of mentorship for our young associates and our young employees and colleagues. And I've had terrific mentors along the way. So I'm here because I am the clients, and I care deeply about making sure that they have all the opportunities that I was given. So that's why I'm here, Susan.
So that's a perfect segue into two questions I've seen come in the chat. The first is, it's hard to be somewhere where everything is about the bottom line. I have so many skills that I could leverage to help. What if you want to help, but your organization isn't open to such partnerships? Any advice?
I'll start, Rick. I would say that there are ways you can get engaged by giving of your time first. And I would say, I would encourage this person to give personally their time, and then show the value back to their organization. So like I said, I think I've been able to continue to get additional support and funding from my organization because I've given my time first. So give the time, continue to get kind of almost build an ROI on like selling why not to do this versus that you need to do it. So I would encourage you to spend your time and energy personally first.
And I'll be a little flip about it, I guess, but I'm not encouraging you to come to MFS or Ulta, but that is always an option.
Can someone show us through the chat the link to apply if there are some jobs open?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll put that up for sure, and we certainly are looking for talent always, which will bring us to other parts of questions that you may have, Susan, including we're made up of people. Our people are the single most important asset.
And then there's a comment that just came in. Rick is an incredible mentor to others as well. So thanks to both of you.
I would agree.
Metropolitan Family Services and Ulta Beauty both celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion within their teams and clients and customers. How has prioritizing those qualities enhanced your organization's success? And Keisha, I would love for you to address this one first.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Susan. We believe beauty is for everyone, and beauty is a way in which everyone can participate in, whether all shapes, sizes, colors, ethnicities, male, gender, female, it doesn't matter. So we really do believe that it's a driver of our business. So I'll start with our BIPOC brands. We've really increased our BIPOC brands in 2022 alone. All of the things I'm going to talk about, we've invested over $50 million in really increasing the visibility, the opportunity, the awareness, the ability to shop brands for everyone. The other piece is we have salons in all of our stores, and we have gone through additional training on natural hair, textured hair. So anybody that wants to come into our salons, you can participate. The other thing is color matching is really important. So like skin tones, we now do have the whole wide range in any brands for skin tones. And, I just think diversity, not only of the products that are available for our guests, but also the diversity and the focus on hiring, as Rick mentioned earlier, like we're hiring all the time. We have a really good lens towards our diverse hiring. It's really important to us. And we have a diverse leadership program, of which the group that just went through 43% were actually elevated in their position. So not only just hiring, but giving additional opportunities and support, really, really important to us at Ulta Beauty. I'll talk a little bit about our Muse campaign. So Muse, it stands for magnify, uplift, support, and empower. This is really how we give diverse voices a platform at Ulta Beauty, to continue to look at DEI investments in brands, and making sure that representation is here in all aspects of our business. Representation matters, I would say, 360, from our board to our leadership team, to the people that are working in our stores, the people that are shopping in the stores. It's like the number one area of focus is really inclusivity and making it a place that everyone is comfortable, whether you work here or you shop here at Ulta Beauty. We also have just launched a new campaign called Beauty and I'm personally so excited about this. It's talking about reclaiming beauty on your own terms. In the past, you might have seen like somebody that looked the same, that was super thin, and they had this look. We're saying beauty is for everyone. And this campaign really does help bring that to life. This is an example to me of like actions speak even louder than words, and showing that everyone has the opportunity to be beautiful and be bold at the same time and be authentically yourself. Again, like I said, this is something that just really warms my heart, that we have come a long way as a company and as a country, I believe. And it's time. This is an area that we can all embrace. So I'd say bottom line, diversity needs to be authentic, and it needs to help people represent on the outside how they really feel on the end.
So that video, that campaign is a perfect example of how beauty can be empowering. And it also ties back to what Rick was mentioning around funding for the arts, support for the arts, and how empowering that can be. So again, I think I see a great, beauty used to be superficial, and now it's front and center. Be your best self. Look like who you really are.
Absolutely. And embrace it.
And embrace it. And celebrate it. And raise money for others.
Exactly.
Rick, do you have any thoughts on this question?
Oh, none at all. No, first of all, it's so amazing to see all those beautiful images of the internal beauty being manifested externally. It's just amazing. So Ulta, thank you again for showcasing all these gorgeous beauty within. I want to, maybe speak about the DEI work from the nonprofit perspective. I believe most people would think that nonprofits are light years ahead of corporate organizations in terms of its racial equity and DEI, diversity initiatives, et cetera. But the reality is, I think that in a lot of big nonprofits, we need work as well. I'm super proud of MFS and its mission. And it's always had a mission to serve and to serve in an equitable way for 165 years. But I'm not sure that our practices always kept up with that noble ambition. But certainly over the last 12 years, if not a couple of decades, this organization has made such tremendous strides. And I'll just give you a couple of pieces of information. Number one, 67% of our staff identify as people of color. And there's 12% that are mixed race as well. So again, we are essentially the epitome of a diverse organization. And then on our leadership team, 60% of our leaders now identify as people of color. So that's just a couple of data points. On top of that, this organization is investing in Black-owned construction companies, Latino-owned construction companies, Asians in professional services. And when I mention one, it doesn't mean that the others aren't also in those categories. These are just where our biggest spends are to date. But we're making investments at every level: procurement, policy, hiring policy, et cetera. And I believe today, as the most diverse big organization in the region, we are a leader in this space, and our work is not done. This work is dynamic, and we need to continue to improve every single day on these practices. But I'm proud of the work that MFS has done and the work that our board is supporting. And Keisha, again, thank you for those amazing images.
Rick, you kind of touched on something I really want you to lean into. When you joined, Metropolitan Family Services as CEO, what did your board look like? What did the leadership look like? And how has that evolved to where we are today?
Sure. The organization has evolved to be more diverse in every way, at staff level, leadership level, and board level, in every single way. And as a result of that, and it's a clear line, when we became more diverse in every way, and it's not only race, certainly gender and the way you identify, religion, in every way, we're more diverse today. And this organization, and I have new numbers for you, Susan. I know that we said it's more than doubled in size. I think sometimes we're humble. We're more than tripled in size now in the last 12 years. And the result is they're clear. And it's these people of color that are leading our centers. All of our centers, but for one, are being led now by people of color. And the way we are organized, essentially, it's regional small nonprofits under the MFS umbrella, if you will. There's 8 regions that we serve, and people of color are leading in all but one of them. And again, that's the way we've changed. It's been successful so far, I think. And again, we have more to do, and we're not also excluding anybody. I have one story for you, Susan, real quickly. There's a person who identifies as white who I made a job offer to, and this person said to me, Rick, are you sure that you can have me in this role? And this is in the middle of kind of the social, challenges that we were dealing with a couple of years ago that have made this country better, as a matter of fact. And I said, of course we are. We wouldn't be offering you this position. We didn't think you have the talent. It's not only about race. It's about your heart and how you want to help, the respect you have for the people we serve. Diversity comes in from every angle. So he's here, and he's been very, very successful.
I am really grateful to hear you say that. I understand why it's easier to develop trust in a community when they are working with people who they can really relate to, similar diversity. But the dream scenario is it doesn't matter, right? People earn the opportunities they earn because they have the right heart, the right drive and skill set. So thank you. Keisha, can you talk a little bit about your associates and your organization and how that has evolved?
Yeah, I think back to when I joined the company just a little over 8.5 years ago. We've gone through tremendous growth. We were at around 700 stores, and now we're over 1,400 stores, which is just amazing. And to me, what I love is I feel like a kid in a candy store many times because we are 95% female. So every single day, I look at every store opening or every opportunity where we're driving the business as a growth opportunity to create real careers for real people. I think myself, when I look back in my career, I started out making $8 an hour at Target Corporation. And someone along the way, as Rick was mentioning, we've had mentors along the way that have helped us be successful. I view that is the best part of my job, is when I walk stores, and I was just in stores in Arizona this last weekend, and I'm meeting people that were a cashier and now they're a general manager, and they're financially independent and supporting their family. And to be able to have an environment that's a culture of collaboration and growth and inclusivity, it's the best job ever. It really is. And where I see our company continuing to evolve and grow is be really purposeful in giving opportunities. And I think that while we talked about it, and I've always been focused on diversity, coming through some of the things that happened through the pandemic, it was a little bit more, you focus on it as a corporation, but you weren't necessarily like openly discussing it. Because of the bad situations that were happening, we had to start opening the conversations and having some tough conversations. And to me, I think that's how we just really accelerated our focus and our energies and our commitments to our DEI efforts. And to me, it's been full circle. It's been fantastic to be a leader in an organization that does really focus on inclusivity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and making sure that we're doing it the right way and we're growing and giving opportunities to everyone. It's the best job out there.
It is. First of all, I recommend your Instagram, your personal Instagram, to see your passion at work with your associates. It's really fun.
Thank you.
But I also am really struck that while retail has been shrinking, Ulta Beauty has more than doubled or almost doubled.
Yeah.
And is that also just focusing on the people? Can you talk a little bit about how that happened? You're
Yeah.
reversing.
Yeah, I think we're in Ulta Beauty itself is in a fantastic category. Wellness, self-care, beauty. I think beauty's evolved. As you mentioned earlier, you saw on the video clip, I think there used to be a stigma of what beauty was, and it's not that way anymore. It really shouldn't be, as we go forward. We offer everything from mass to prestige to services. We have salons. So really, we can take care of all your needs in one-stop shop. Focusing on wellness and conscious beauty, having clean, categories and products for our guests. So it's a great business model that we've continued to double down on and grow, I think, at the right pace for our company. And, the guests are responding. And I do also think when you walk into a store and you feel comfortable walking into a store, whether you have makeup on or not, your hair up in a ponytail, a baseball cap on, however you are that day, we work really hard on having people, when they walk into an Ulta Beauty store, you can show up any way you need to or how you feel. And our job is just to help you feel even better. So it is our super powered associates that make the difference every single day.
That's fantastic. There's another comment: mentoring and uplifting. Nothing more beautiful. Really inspired by both organizations here, authentically and passionately sharing what matters. It is clear to see that these are places to want to work. So we did see the apply for jobs for Metropolitan Family Services on the screen. Do we have one for Ulta Beauty too?
Yeah, I'll make sure that we get one up there quickly.
Thank you so much. That will certainly be included in the follow-up content I referenced early.
Yes, thank you.
I'm having a conversation with great leaders. The audience is seeing great leadership on display. And I wonder how you particularly define great leadership. How do you strive to live it out in your role as executives? And Rick, I'm wondering if you could go first.
Sure, I think it's going to be an easy response. There's so many definitions of leadership, but here's how I boil it down to: is a leader needs to have the ability to listen, learn, care, inspire, and execute. But if you don't listen, you can't learn, and if you don't learn, people know you don't care. And so, how could you inspire if people think you don't care, and ultimately you can't execute? So for me, it's about those 5 simple concepts that are so difficult for many people to kind of bring together. But if you do it, then it works. And it's I said earlier, it's the magic that happens. In addition to that, I think, Susan, you need to understand that you're not going to be the best at all these things all the time. And so leadership is an exercise, it's a team exercise. And that sometimes your best moments are when you lead from behind and you're really allowing others to lead and shine. And quite frankly, you have to, because if you don't, you will fail. You hear this all the time in leadership, that you have to strive to be the dumbest person in the room, even when you're a smart person. But for us, I know on my executive team, they are so talented. And if I'm not, again, listening and learning and caring for them and hoping to be inspired and inspiring them, there's no way we could execute. And so again, that's the way I think about leadership in general.
I like that, leading from behind and listening well. Keisha, your definition?
Yeah, I agree with so much of everything that Rick just said. But, when I boil it down and when I give talks to our teams on leadership, there's really 3 things I think that are very important, that are kind of the baseline foundation. And they're pretty simple. It's that you have to have a certain level of IQ. So you have to have the IQ, you have to have the intellectual ability to do the job. You have to have an EQ, which is understanding your team, the emotional intelligence. You have to empathize. You have to make sure that you're really looking at working through your teams. And then you have to have a level of AQ. And I do think the AQ is the one that really separates people who can just kind of hit a bump in their road and they can't figure out how to course correct, they will stall in their careers. Overcoming adversity, so it's the adversity quotient, overcoming adversity, figuring out how you get better, sharing those learnings with others is really how you grow as a leader. We talk a lot about power words and like, what's your power word? My power word that stuck with me since day one is grit. And it doesn't matter what's thrown in front of me. I'm going to figure it out, not always by myself, but many times with my team. But any challenge that's put in front of me, there's no challenge that's too big that I don't believe that we can ever work through. And I think having that mindset is really important. Being a student of the business and in what I would call an always learn mode is really important. I learn from everyone, whether it's the part-time person working in a store, I ask a lot of questions, or our CEO. I learn from them both equally the same, different things. And I think it's really important to be curious and ask a lot of questions. And when questions are asked of you, I flip the narrative a lot of times. Because if someone's asking me a question, sometimes there's a question behind the question, or there's a motivation behind the question. So I'll sometimes ask, okay, what can you tell me more about the question? What's the reason for the question? And that really opens up a much broader conversation than just answering the question at face value. You have a much better dialogue and conversation, and you really do connect, I think, even more with that person that you're interacting with. I also think in my role, that's really important. My, time, as you mentioned earlier, Susan, is important for everyone. It's the most important commodity that I have or asset that I have. So when I'm giving my time or I'm spending time with the associates, it's really focused time. It's focused time listening, making sure that they understand that they matter, that they do make a difference. And I think that as leaders, we all need to do that going forward and not lose track with that. That one interaction definitely spreads and pays it forward. You mentioned my social media. That's one of the things that maybe 15 years ago wasn't as important of a tool as it is today. But when I'm out there in stores, it used to be that back in the day when you would go visit stores, senior leaders, people would be in fear mode and scared and like, what's going to happen? I want them to celebrate. And we worked really hard on that culturally here when I joined the organization of this is not a time for me to tell you what's wrong. This is a time for me to listen to you. My job is to remove roadblocks and to help you be successful. And if you're successful, the organization's going to be successful. So changing that narrative, and it's a celebration now. And it really is a true celebration when we as senior leaders, whether it's the CEO, Dave Kimball, or myself, or any of us go out to stores, they're excited to see us because they want to share with us what's on their mind. We want them to authentically be themselves, tell us what's working, tell us what's not working. And I think that's what makes the difference culturally here at our organization. So you can see that that's the best part of my job, is going out to stores and getting pictures with all of our associates across the whole United States. It's I get paid to do this, and it's pretty cool.
And you're echoing what Rick said, which is you're listening well. That flipping the question is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Could you?
And I just wanted to add too, Susan, that, I think it's also important to surround yourself with people who make you better as a leader. And I'm very fortunate to have the partnership with Rick. I think Rick comes, we have very common values, but in the nonprofit sector, I'm learning from him all the time. How he navigated through COVID was a little differently than how our corporation did, but there were learnings on both sides. And I think that's the other power that you can unlock when you really have a corporation and a nonprofit partnering, is that it doesn't just help the nonprofit, it also helps the corporation, because you have a different perspective and viewpoint, and it's a different problem solving technique. And I just feel like Rick does make a difference for the city of Chicago, and I feel very, very fortunate to be a partner with him.
Well, Keisha,
Rick
thank
has
you so
a
much.
long list of awards that he has won too. So the city of Chicago and national leaders see that also. Rick, could you address what Keisha just said from your perspective, and again the partnership with Ulta and with other corporations and the possibilities from that?
Yeah, well, yes, and Keisha, thank you, and Susan, thank you as well. What Keisha said is exactly right. I mean, we learn from each other at a time, and I know that when I need support, when I need kind of a playbook that I can call one of a number of board members that Metropolitan has the privilege to have on their board, and in the middle of the pandemic, as you might imagine, people were worried about so many things. First and foremost, the health of our people. That was the single most important thing. Closely behind that, and soon we learned that their mental health was as important, and just assuring people. And then finances became important. But then operations. How do you operate in this new environment, both digitally and personally and live? And for all of these things and many others, how do you renegotiate real estate in this environment? I had the playbook of some of the major corporations in our region that was afforded to me confidentially, so that I could look at these things and then make decisions based not only on our terrific team's judgment, but on the judgment of many other experts in the field. And I think that's what distinguished MFS during those difficult times. And quite frankly, we need it all the time. One thing, while I have the mic, the proverbial mic, that we like to say to our board members when we are in recruitment mode, and I want to repeat this all the time, is we have some of the most intelligent people on our board, but don't leave it at your office. Please bring it to us, challenge us, tell us to think differently, tell us what you think maybe we're doing wrong. We're big people and we could handle different thoughts and criticism. So bring it. We love it. And I think that our best partners also do that. They challenge us to do better.
Yeah, I would say, Rick, I mentioned earlier, you're innovative, and innovation is not just about, it's also how you become more efficient and how you'll do things differently and better in the future. And MFS is always innovative in that way. I give you guys huge kudos for that.
Could I ask a kind of out-of-the-box question around that? If you could bring more partners to the table, so it's not just MFS and your board, but other organizations to start solving big problems within the city, who else would you want to invite to that table?
Well, Susan, you set me up here. I think you didn't even know you were doing it. But we are a convener of 14 incredible organizations that are working to reduce gun violence in this city. And so those 14 partners are just amazing. They're doing the work on the ground. We have the privilege to bring them together, help do some fundraising for them, professionalize the field of street outreach. So we're doing that. And we built the Peace Academy so that people could, one, have a home, and also have the best available science around peace building. And ultimately, they do the important work of keeping us safe, and they're doing it every single day. So those 14 partners are certainly among those people that we bring. But that's just one of our partnerships. We are involved in at least 7 other partnerships that people hear less about but are equally important. So I begin there, and I turn it to Keisha to give us some other thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think, Rick, you highlighted it really well. You are a conduit to bringing people together here in the city of Chicago to make the Chicago area a better place to live and to be safe. And that's why I'm so proud that Ulta Beauty is a part of this, because I was one of the people that, before I joined MFS, that was like talking a lot about it, but not putting a lot of action behind my words. Like, it was frustrating to me what was happening. Now I feel like both my husband and I personally are committed to what MFS work is, and I'm bringing the power of Ulta Beauty also to help make a difference as a corporation that's based here in the city of Chicago. We need to be a part of that continued success. And my call out would be just that other corporate partners need to step up and also participate, and this is a great place to do it.
Chicago is well known as being, strong in their public-private partnerships and corporations stepping up. If they're not, we do need to encourage them to do even more. And Rick, you don't know, you just set me up for a call out to our next philanthropy awards. They are very much around helping to solve the gun violence problem too. So all of our awards are being given from that lens in different categories. And so I hope that you will really participate as a judge and a recommender, because that is a really complicated problem, and it takes a lot of different routes to offload people who might be headed in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Happy to.
Thank you very much. And Keisha, please join us too.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, yeah, certainly. Join us. Join us at Metropolitan Family Services and help us make this region more empowered. We are the city's legacy nonprofit. We're 165 years young, evolving every single day, every single year. We look forward to partnerships with nonprofits, corporations, civic institutions. We realize that we can't do this alone. No one can. And so only in partnership, in authentic partnership, can we make this whole region better for everyone.
So could you enumerate ways people can get involved? You know, volunteer here, give there. Give us the call out for ways people can help.
Sure. The easiest thing, Susan, to say is to give, but I think for us, the most important thing is that first become aware, and metrofamily.org is a place where you could be aware. We are also on all the social media, sites and apps and channels that you could find. We have a presence in all of them, and just
And
be
I bet
aware.
we'll probably see you being passionate and enthusiastic about your work too. I'm going to go check
Yeah,
out yours.
Yeah, you'll see us there. Certainly, if you want to volunteer at every one of our regions, and again, we have 8 regions. You could be in DuPage County, you could be in Palos, you could be at Marionette Park, Evanston, Skokie, and all of the city of Chicago, and we will find a place where you can make an impact at Metropolitan Family Services. And again, our beauty is our complexity. We serve you from from children to the rocking chair. Cradle to the rocking chair, I guess is the right way of doing it. So we have many ways for you to engage. One thing I say to our board members is we are so complex, but you only have to learn about one program. If people are asking, so Keisha, tell us about this Metropolitan Family Services place and why is it that you're involved? She could pick one of the programs that she's most passionate about, and she'll say, I'm involved because they make a difference for the lives of victims of domestic violence, let's just say. And I know that in their shelters, in their court advocacy, in their legal aid, that they are providing the best services for those victims. And that's their way in. And if you have other questions, you have this guy named Rick Estrada, a woman, Teresa Nihil, and 1,200 other people that can give you more direct knowledge about the ways to be engaged. So that's, and certainly you can give, and you could also give at metrofamily.org. But we want you more to be aware and be engaged.
When people do give, what percentage, tell us about your efficiency ratio. What percentage goes to mission versus administration and fundraising?
Sure. If you look at our audit, which is also public on metrofamily.org, you could see how much money we spend on admin, and it's usually just under 10%. There's years that it go a point over, a point under. We are one of the most efficient partners when it comes to that. Again, we need some back office to do the work, but we are pretty efficient.
So that is a big reason to give too, because that's maximum impact for your giving dollar. Keisha, anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I'm just hoping that I've motivated and inspired others to participate that are at corporations or are part of a corporation. You mentioned earlier, if those of you that are listening are working someplace where you don't feel like they're part of the culture, you have an option of where you work, and you're going to get the link for Ulta Beauty and also MFS, and we would encourage you to come work with us, because we do believe in giving back and being a part of the community, and it's a great working environment and a culture here at Ulta Beauty, and we're always hiring. So
I'd be so inspired to work under you.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
So thank you. Thank you for very thoughtful advice for others and the opportunity to have this conversation, and for volunteering to help think about gun violence a little more deeply with Make It Better too in the coming Philanthropy Awards. As I mentioned before, the video will be sent out to everybody who had signed up for this originally, and it will also go into our YouTube channel and our Make It Better TV channel, and there will be at least one article. I think there's actually 3 coming now, that summarizes the top line advice and featured in our Better letters. So, and it will get pushed out through our social network channels too. So share, once this comes out, everyone please share the good advice that we've heard, and grow the support for both Ulta Beauty and Metropolitan Family Services, and collaboration and innovation to make the world a better place. Thanks so much for joining me, Rick and Keisha. It's been a delight.
Thank you.
Let's make it better.
Let's make it better together.